So this is a little different than what you guys are used to, and I want to go ahead and give a few warnings up front. I'm going to get a little extreme in this video. Secondly, obviously I'm not behind my avatar, so I'm not going to be editing a lot for this video. There will be minimal, if no editing at all. If that's not a thing that you really care for, then I'm sorry. But I need to get some unfiltered thoughts out. Something that's happening locally to me. In the state of Georgia, the different counties were given the ability to vote on whether or not we had education face-to-face or whether it would be virtual learning. Now, we still don't have a fully functional COVID-19 vaccine. We still have numbers that are way, way, way higher than they should be for our nation, not only in infection rates, but also in death rates. We also know that children can contract COVID-19 and spread it. And there's a bunch of rhetoric that I'm getting really fucking tired of seeing. And by really tired, I mean I literally just screamed about this. I had to leave any local pages that I happen to be a part of, because local pages that are supposed to be, ostensibly, for talking about if you need a plumber or talking about like events happening around in your area, it's all just devolved into right versus left fighting fucking nonsense. And it's always easy to tell in groups like these, especially when you're in the South. People on the left are usually doing things like organizing protests or asking you not to let teachers fucking die, and people on the right are just constantly fucking yelling at them and telling them that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if anybody dies from a virus or anything like that. And it's frustrating. It is frustrating as hell. For instance, here's one comment that I'm reading from here. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to do any of that. They said, "We were offered a choice. If you don't want your kids to be face-to-face, you should have met the deadline for virtual. The virus is here to stay, or for the time being anyway. You have to learn to function in our daily lives and get back to normal as we possibly can. Those of us who chose face-to-face did so for a reason and did it in the best interest of our children. People like this don't understand the fucking problem. They don't. Your kid is the least likely to be susceptible to COVID, as far as I know, unless another mutation happens that creates more problems going down. The problem is that you're sacrificing our teachers, our educators. And this is a problem I've seen from the right a lot. And I don't understand it. I don't get it. Constantly, from right-wing people, I am seeing things like, you don't need college, you don't need education, you don't need this, you just need to be a good worker, which is really fucking weird to me. Because the last thing the right wing, at least in the United States, does is anything to benefit the actual workers. And fucking over our education system by literally taking our teachers and sacrificing them onto a funeral pyre seems a bit fucking stupid. Not only stupid, it seems a bit fucking cruel. And I don't understand it. I don't understand the rationale behind it. And I'm sure there's somebody who's going to go, well, parents need to be able to get to their lives too. If your kid's old enough to go to school, then likely your kid's old enough to learn how to operate better in the house. Your teachers, your educators, people who do not get paid enough to do their job in the first place, should not have to be paid to be the babysitters of your kids and potentially die. In multiple states, we have seen teachers dying in classroom exposure. Most of this was before the recent ordinances to bring everything up. And when you bring evidence to these people, for instance, one of these people who I responded to, I still have the page up because I left, but I'm still able to view the page, said, "We support our schools, and personally, as a parent of two, I'm grateful for the choice to send my child to school. Thank you," insert Board of Education here that I'm not going to say for risk of doxing myself. To which I responded, because given that I actually give a shit about human life, for some reason, decided to respond that that's a weird way to celebrate the death of a teacher from COVID, but whatever. To which somebody responds, "Are you privy to something we're not? Which, insert our county here, teacher has died of COVID?" To which I said, "Give it time," provided an article from Arizona where educators have been dying from COVID. And they said, "This says it was a teacher from another state. Did you post the wrong article?" To which I respond, you didn't read what I said, did you? It doesn't matter if it's from another state. It doesn't matter if the article's from another state. Do you think COVID operates differently in Arizona than it does in Georgia? Do you think it just has a fucking button where it goes, oh, well, this county opened up their schools. I probably shouldn't kill the teachers in that county. Why would I do that? Nah. Arizona's special. I fucking murdered people there, but now that I'm here, nah, we're done. We're done with the killing. That's not a thing that's going to happen anymore. You think that's how the fucking virus operates? Do you think that's how any virus operates? Are you that fucking deft? The virus does not have a special stop here at this county button, and even if it did, it wouldn't fucking press it. And to which they go, oh, you're a YouTuber from Florida, because my information on Facebook is not fully up to date. So you're basically here just to troll our local page. Holy shit, I wasn't aware, one, that you were so stupid, so nightmarishly dumb, so as to think that everybody's information on Facebook is always 100% up to date at all times. Could it possibly mean that I actually do live in this area, and I actually do care about the educators in my county? Maybe that's what it means. But no, instead I'm a troll. I am a troll for pointing out that there are deaths that will be related to this, and deaths that have been related to this, and maybe sacrificing our educators, who literally shape our children into what they're going to be in the future, and those children then lead our nation into better prosperity, or maybe not even prosperity. Maybe they end up making it worse. Who knows? But it's the job of educators to help shape those children so that they can actually do that. And again, like I said before, they don't get paid enough to do that in the first fucking place. How is pointing out that there will be educators that die from this, and that's not a good thing, trolling? This is the level of absolute daftness that exists here in the American South. Every single one of you fuckers that voted for face-to-face, the first teacher that dies in your county, their blood is on your hands. You have the ability to majority vote that shit out. And to take just a single year, just 1 year of virtual education while we handle this shit, while we sort this shit out. And to all the people who were going, oh, well, if you wanted virtual education, you had a window where you could choose virtual. Okay, first of all, let's go ahead and point out the should be obvious fact that the issue isn't your kids. Because again, like I said earlier, your kids likely are not going to be the ones sacrificed for this. Yes, there have been some small cases of children dying. I feel like even one should be plenty enough for people to go, oh, maybe we shouldn't, do this shit. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that the kids will contract COVID. Social distancing has not been properly implemented in schools. We've been seeing pictures about this. And if it's not the teachers that die, it's going to be their grandparents. It's going to be their uncles. It's going to be their aunts. Hell, if you're old enough, it might even be you. And my question is, how are you going to explain to a child? At what point do you explain to that child that the reason grandma died is because you contracted a disease at school that happened to severely infect them, and in the 2-week incubation period where you didn't have any symptoms, you gave it to her? At what point do you tell the kid that? And at what point do you as a parent take responsibility for understanding that it's not just, I have to explain to my kid that they brought a disease home that killed grandma? At what point do you as a parent take the responsibility to realize, oh, wait a minute, I had the ability to vote against that? 1, I could have just had my child do virtual learning. 2, I could have actually been part of the vote that said that we would not be sending kids back to school this year. This 1 year, a single fucking year. And they would still be getting an education. Just under different circumstances. Circumstances that are different and therefore are scary. But how do you explain to the parent that they have blood on their hands? And how do you explain to the children that the blood that's on their hands isn't their fault? How are they going to conceptualize that? If they're anything like their parents that voted for this shit, probably not very well. Because these are the same people that say, oh, if my mask works really well, or if your mask works really well, why do we have to care about mine? When the issue isn't the fact that your mask protects you from COVID, your mask protects other people from COVID. Likewise, your children are not going to be the primary victims of COVID. It's going to be their educators, their grandparents, the people that they bring the virus to. Those are going to be the problems. Those are going to be the people suffering most. And we've been getting fucking data in that shows that there's even permanent damage that can come from COVID. Permanent respiratory damage. It can fuck up your body for way longer than the little amount of time that people are trying to go, oh, well, it's just like a flu. It'll go away. No, it's not just like a flu. And it doesn't just go away. Not with everybody. Moreover, every idiot that tries to go, here's a couple of the examples that I've seen. Well, the flu kills this many people per year. Do you remember when this shit was happening when they said the flu kills 36,000 people in a year, COVID's killed 5,000? Why does it matter? Well, congratulations, COVID's well spiked over the 100,000 death mark. Well over. It's gotten well over that point. How many deaths do we have to have until it's not a fucking flu anymore? How many people do we have to sacrifice to get this through your thick fucking skull? How many? How many bodies have to be stacked up before you get it? I don't know, would be your answer. Or some other method of deflection. I'm past the point of wanting to understand you. There was a point where I wanted to understand the mentality that went into this. Now I think it's just childish denial. I'm past the point of reasonability. I've reached that threshold of mockery. That's where I'm at. And it's not just fucking people that deny that COVID kills people, or kills enough people for them to be concerned. Anti-vaxxers are the exact same fucking shit. It is the exact same thing. How much blood do you have to have on your hands because of the rhetoric that you spread? Same thing with transphobes. How many children have to be kicked out of their houses because they're trans, and the parents want to disown them, in part because of information that you helped propagate? How many bodies? How many people? How often do people have to suffer before you realize that it's not that out there exists this cruel world in the abstract? Out there is the world you live in, and you are a piece. You are a cog in the machine of cruelty. And by simply not being a cruel dipshit, you have the ability to take at least one cog out of that machine. If enough people in the world do not take the easy route of being cruel, of being mean, of being hurtful, of being willfully ignorant, of things like viruses, of things like identity. If people would research these things and understand the actual end result of their actions, we might be able to remove enough cogs in the wheel to where instead of the narrative being it's a cruel world, maybe you should get some thicker skin, the narrative could be it's a happy world, why the fuck are you ruining it? If we can have enough people who aren't cruel where that narrative can shift, then I can die happy. But we don't live in that world yet. The difference between me and the fucking idiots on these pages that I've been on, these people who exist out there in the real world, is that I want to do something to actually make the world less cruel. Make the world less mean. Make the world less harmful. Make the world an actual better place so that when I have kids, I will have done something effectively to make their lives at least marginally better than mine. Not just saved up enough money to where they could go to college when I wasn't able to. Not just make sure I can pass down a house to them. Not this individualistic goddamn bullshit. But actual, meaningful, societal impact. I want to live in a world where people are less cruel. I want to try to shape the world into one where people are less cruel. Where people are not dismissive about teachers' lives. I don't know how to construct that world. I don't think anybody knows how to construct that world. But I'm willing to shoot enough shots in the dark until I'm fucking dead. I may be losing some subscribers from this. Because usually I'm decently calm. I'm decently restrained. Because I have the ability to edit out if I yell. I have the ability to edit out when I'm angry. Videos like this are different. Normally, this is something that only my patrons get to see. I show a different side of myself, a less constructed side, on Patreon. Because I figured that behind-the-scenes stuff is what you guys at least deserve. I should do more. But right now I'm mad. Right now I'm mad at a world that doesn't care about our educators, that doesn't care about trans people, that doesn't care about a body count, so long as it's not high enough for them to be inconvenienced by it. That's all I've got. 16 minutes, maybe 17 minutes of just unfiltered Suris. This is how I feel about the state of the world I live in right now. I'm not happy with it. I want to try to make it better. I just need to figure out how to do that.